Emily sat on the windowsill of her small, cozy room, staring out at the dimly lit streets of her hometown. The sky above was hazy, with only a few stars peeking through the glow of streetlights. Her town, tucked in a valley surrounded by hills, was not known for its starry skies. Here, the night was dominated by artificial light, leaving the vast universe above hidden from view. At school the next day, Emily found herself drawn to the bulletin board outside the science classroom. A brightly colored poster caught her eye. Geminid Meteor Shower, a Night of Falling Stars. Beneath the title, the details explained that this meteor shower was one of the year's most stunning celestial events. It promised streaks of light, sometimes yellow, red, or green, cutting through the sky, originating not from a comet as most meteors did, but from an asteroid named 3200 Phaethon. Curiosity sparked in her mind. A meteor shower, not from a comet, she wondered aloud. Exactly, chimed in Mr. Carson, the school's science club advisor who had overheard her. He beamed at Emily, always eager to share his enthusiasm for astronomy. The Geminids are unique. Most meteor showers are debris left behind by comets, but this one comes from a rocky asteroid. Phaethon behaves a little like a comet. It gets close to the sun and leaves behind a trail of dust, but scientists still debate how it fits into the picture. Emily felt a mix of excitement and confusion. So, it's an asteroid, but it acts like a comet? That's strange, she said, trying to imagine this celestial oddity. Mr. Carson nodded. That's part of the fun of science. It's about uncovering the why. He pointed to the poster. The Geminids will peak on December 13th. Find a dark spot away from the city lights, and you'll see dozens of meteors per hour. Just make sure to dress warmly. That night at dinner, Emily couldn't contain her excitement. Mom, Dad, I want to see the Geminid meteor shower. Her parents exchanged skeptical glances. Emily, it's the middle of December, her mother said, raising an eyebrow. It'll be freezing, and the moon is nearly full. You probably won't see much anyway. Her father added, besides, you have schoolwork. You don't need to be up all night chasing stars. But this isn't just any night, Emily protested. It's a chance to see something extraordinary. I've never seen a real meteor shower before. Her words, hung in the air, met with silence. Frustrated but undeterred, Emily retreated to her room. She opened her laptop and began researching. If she was going to convince her parents, she needed facts. Her search revealed stunning details about the Geminids. Articles described the meteor's slow, bright streaks and their multicolored appearance due to traces of metals like sodium and calcium. She learned that the shower's radiant point, the place in the sky where the meteors appeared to originate, was in the constellation Gemini near the bright star Castor. Emily smiled as she read. She imagined herself standing under a vast, dark sky, watching streaks of light race across the heavens. She decided then and there that she would find a way to witness this cosmic event, no matter what. As she closed her laptop, a sense of determination filled her. The universe had secrets to share, and Emily was ready to listen. Emily stood at the edge of her backyard, staring up at the faint stars scattered across the night sky. The thought of missing the Geminid meteor shower weighed heavily on her mind. She had read all about the perfect conditions for stargazing: dark skies, minimal moonlight, and patience. But her small town, with its bright streetlights and glowing shop signs, was far from ideal. As she pondered her next move, a voice called out from across the fence. "You look like you're planning something big, Emily." She turned to see Mr. Lane, her elderly neighbor, leaning on his cane. He was a quiet man, always tinkering with strange-looking gadgets in his garage. The townsfolk said he used to be an astronomer, though no one seemed to know for sure. "Yes, Mr. Lane," Emily replied hesitantly. "I want to see the Geminid meteor shower, but I don't know where to go. The lights here make it so hard to see the stars." A smile crept across Mr. Lane's weathered face. "The Geminids, huh? A fine choice for your first meteor shower. Did you know they're brighter than most because they come from asteroid 3200 Phaethon? Very unusual for a meteor shower." Emily's eyes widened. "You know about Phaethon, too?" "I've spent a lifetime looking up," he said, gesturing toward the sky. "Why don't you come over tomorrow? I have just the place for stargazing, and I can lend you some tools to make the experience even better." The next evening, Emily found herself in Mr. Lane's cluttered workshop. Telescopes of various sizes lined the walls, along with star charts and faded photographs of eclipses and constellations. Mr. Lane carefully packed a pair of binoculars, a red flashlight, and a blanket into a bag. "Here," he said, handing her the bag. "The binoculars will help you see details if the meteors are bright enough. The red flashlight, that's to keep your night vision. Your eyes need about 20 minutes in the dark to adjust properly." Emily was fascinated by his advice. "But where are we going?" "There's a hill just outside town," he explained. "It's high enough to escape the worst of the light pollution. If we leave now, we'll get there in time for the peak." An hour later, they arrived at the hilltop. The view was breathtaking. Above them, the sky stretched wide and clear, with countless stars twinkling against the inky blackness. Emily had never seen so many stars before. "Wow," she whispered. "It's so endless." "Indeed," Mr. Lane said, setting up a small reclining chair. "The universe is vast, and what you see tonight is just a fraction of its beauty." As they settled in, he began explaining more about the Geminids. "You know, Emily, not all meteors you'll see tonight belong to the Geminid stream. Some are random meteors or even from weaker showers. But the Geminids are special. They're colorful and relatively slow-moving, so you'll have time to appreciate them." "Why are they colorful?" Emily asked. Her curiosity piqued. "It's the metals in the meteoroids," Mr. Lane replied. "Sodium makes them yellow, calcium gives off a bluish hue, and sometimes you'll see green from magnesium. It's like nature's fireworks." Emily nodded, her excitement growing. As the first meteor streaked across the sky, leaving a bright yellow trail, she felt a rush of wonder. This wasn't just about watching falling stars. It was about uncovering the secrets of the universe. Mr. Lane leaned back in his chair, his eyes fixed on the heavens. "You know, Emily, what we see tonight is only the beginning. The more you learn, the more you'll realize how little we truly understand." Emily smiled. For the first time, she felt a connection to the stars and to the strange but kind man who had opened the door to this world of endless discovery. The chill of December bit through the layers of jackets and scarves as Emily and Mr. Lane climbed to the hilltop. The night air was still, except for the crunch of frozen grass beneath their boots. Above them, the sky stretched out like a vast canvas sprinkled with stars. But Emily noticed something troubling. The nearly full moon was glaring down, its bright light spilling across the landscape like a silver floodlight. "Will we even see the meteors with the moon this bright?" Emily asked, concern in her voice. Mr. Lane nodded thoughtfully. "The moon will definitely make things harder. The brightest meteors will still shine through, but the faint ones might get lost in the glow. Patience will be key tonight, Emily. Sometimes the best things take time." They reached the top and began setting up. Mr. Lane unfolded two reclining chairs while Emily carefully placed the binoculars and flashlight nearby. He pointed to the eastern horizon where the constellation Gemini had begun to rise. That's where the meteors will seem to come from, the radiant point. But remember, the meteors can appear anywhere in the sky, so keep your eyes moving. Emily adjusted her blanket and scanned the heavens. Despite the moonlight, the view was stunning. The stars twinkled like tiny diamonds, and the air was crisp and quiet. Minutes passed, then hours. She saw one or two faint streaks of light dart across the sky, but nothing like the spectacular show she had imagined. Disappointment began to creep in. "Maybe it's not going to happen tonight," she muttered, her breath forming small clouds in the freezing air. Mr. Lane chuckled softly. "You sound like me when I was your age. I remember my first meteor shower, Perseids, late summer. I stayed up all night, expecting to see the entire sky light up. Instead, I saw just 3 meteors, but one of them was unforgettable." "What was it like?" Emily asked, curiosity overcoming her frustration. "It was a fireball," Mr. Lane said, his eyes glinting with the memory. "Bright orange, with a long tail that lingered for several seconds. It made me realize how rare and beautiful these moments are. That one meteor inspired me to study the stars for the rest of my life." Before Emily could respond, a sudden gasp escaped her lips. A brilliant streak of light cut across the sky, larger and brighter than anything she had ever seen. It was a fireball, a dazzling green meteor with a tail that shimmered like a trail of emeralds. The light lingered in the sky for what felt like an eternity before fading into the darkness. "Wow," Emily whispered, her heart pounding. "That was incredible." Mr. Lane smiled, his face illuminated by the moonlight. "And that, Emily, is the magic of the universe. Sometimes it gives us more than we expect. That fireball traveled millions of kilometers through space to reach us. It's a reminder that even small, fleeting moments can carry immense beauty." As the night wore on, Emily's excitement didn't fade. She stayed awake, scanning the sky, hoping for more. Though no meteor matched the fireball, every streak of light felt like a tiny gift from the cosmos. By the time they packed up and headed home, Emily felt a newfound sense of wonder. The Geminids hadn't been perfect, but they had been extraordinary. She realized that science wasn't about certainty or perfection. It was about curiosity, discovery, and appreciating the moments when the universe revealed its secrets. As the night deepened and the stream of meteors began to slow, Emily wrapped herself tighter in her blanket. Despite the cold, she didn't want to leave. The beauty of the fireball still lingered in her mind, but her curiosity had grown. She turned to Mr. Lane, who was carefully adjusting a telescope aimed toward the radiant point in Gemini. "Mr. Lane," she asked, "you said earlier that the Geminids come from an asteroid 3,200 Phaethon. But why does it behave like a comet? I don't understand how something rocky can leave behind a trail of dust." Mr. Lane smiled at her question. "Ah, that's the mystery of Phaethon. Let me show you something." He stepped back from the telescope, motioning for Emily to look. She peered through the lens and saw a cluster of stars twinkling brightly. "That's Gemini," he said, pointing toward the same area in the sky. "If we could zoom in far enough, we might spot Phaethon itself, though it's too faint to see with this telescope. Scientists believe it's a rocky asteroid, but it acts strangely. When it gets close to the sun, it heats up, releasing a trail of dust and debris just like a comet. But it doesn't have the ice that typically makes comets so dramatic." Emily straightened up, her interest piqued. So, it's like a comet but without the icy tail? Exactly, Mr. Lane said. Some scientists think Phaethon could be a dead comet, one that lost its ice after too many trips around the sun. Others argue it might be something entirely unique, a hybrid object we don't fully understand yet. That's what makes astronomy so exciting. Every discovery leads to new questions. As Emily gazed up at the sky, her thoughts swirled. She imagined Phaethon hurtling through space, its dusty trail creating the brilliant Geminid meteors. How many other mysteries were out there waiting to be uncovered? What do scientists do to study objects like Phaethon? She asked. Well, Mr. Lane began, they use tools like telescopes to observe how light reflects off the asteroid's surface. That helps determine its composition, whether it's rocky, metallic, or something else. Space probes, like the ones NASA sends, can sometimes get up close to gather even more information. And then there's spectroscopy, a method where we study the light from an object to understand its chemical makeup. Emily nodded, her imagination running wild. She could picture herself peering into a massive observatory telescope or analyzing light patterns on a computer screen. Do you think I could be an astronomer someday? She asked hesitantly. Mr. Lane turned to her with a grin. Why not? You already have what it takes, curiosity and a sense of wonder. The rest is just learning, and that's the easy part if you love the stars. As the last meteors of the night streaked across the sky, Emily felt a spark of determination. This night wasn't just about seeing falling stars anymore. It was about discovering a passion she didn't know she had. Somewhere out there, in the vast expanse of the universe, secrets were waiting to be uncovered, and maybe, just maybe, she could be the one to find them. As the first rays of dawn painted the horizon with soft shades of orange and pink, Emily and Mr. Lane packed up their equipment. Despite the freezing air and her tired eyes, Emily felt a sense of satisfaction unlike anything she'd experienced before. That was amazing, she said, her voice filled with awe. I never thought I'd feel so connected to the stars. Mr. Lane smiled, carefully folding the blanket she had used. The stars have a way of doing that. They remind us how small we are and how much there is to explore. Back at home, Emily couldn't stop thinking about the night's events. The Geminid meteor shower had opened her eyes not just to the beauty of the universe, but also to its endless mysteries. The next day at school, she walked straight into the science club meeting with a new idea. I want to organize a meteor shower event for everyone, she announced to the small group of students gathered around the room. Most people in town don't even know what's out there. Let's change that. Her classmates were intrigued, and the club advisor, Miss Turner, immediately supported the idea. Over the following weeks, Emily worked tirelessly to plan the event. She created simple presentations, explaining concepts like meteor showers, radiant points, and the science behind meteor colors. She borrowed telescopes from Mr. Lane and crafted DIY star charts for the students to take home. When the night of the event arrived, dozens of students and their families gathered on the school field. Though it wasn't as remote or dark as the hilltop where Emily had watched the Geminids, the excitement in the air made up for it. Emily stood at the front, guiding the group. Look over there, she said, pointing to the eastern sky. That's Gemini, the radiant point of the Geminids. The meteors don't come from the constellation, but that's where they appear to start. Cheers erupted as a bright meteor streaked across the sky. Emily felt a swell of pride. She wasn't just watching the stars anymore, she was sharing them. Later that week, Emily visited Mr. Lane to thank him. She found him in his workshop, polishing an old telescope. "You've done something wonderful, Emily," he said. "Sharing the stars with others? It's the best way to keep them alive in our hearts." Before she left, he handed her a small, wrapped package. Inside was a book titled Introduction to Astronomy. On the first page, written in neat, slanted handwriting, were the words, "There will always be more skies to explore."